So at the end of 2022, film photography got some of the best news that we had had in years. And that was that a major manufacturer was about to create a brand new film camera. And we would be getting that camera at some point in the future. But it's 2022, a couple of years have passed, and over the past few years, Pentax has been dropping little nuggets of knowledge all along the way. So stick with me in this video as we go over everything that we know about the new Pentax film camera. The first thing that we need to know about the camera is that according to Pentax, the new film camera is designed for younger photographers to fully enjoy taking photos as they enter the world of film photography. And if you understand that jumping off point, a lot of the decisions that Pentax has made start to make a lot of sense. The first thing we should probably talk about with the camera is that Pentax has made it very clear in all their announcements and all their communications about the camera that this is going to be a compact film camera, and more specifically, a premium point-and-shoot style camera. And according to Digital Camera World, Pentax has confirmed that it's going to be a 35mm compact film camera. And according to Takeo Suzuki, one of the lead designers from Pentax on the camera, when he was talking about the camera, he said that he wants people to carry it around like a smartphone. And like I said, everything that they've said so far indicates that it's going to be a compact, tidily packaged camera. We don't have a lot of specifics about the camera lens that's going to be featured on the camera, but they have told us a little bit. According to Pentax, the lens design has been inspired by the Ricoh Auto Half, which launched in 1962, and the Pentax SBO Mini, which launched in 1994. Both of those cameras bear retro hallmarks of their respective eras. Both cameras featured prime lenses, one of which featured a 25 2.8 and the other featured a 32mm 3.5 lens. So I think it goes without saying that the lens that we're probably going to get on this new Pentax camera is going to be a prime lens. And what it's going to be in terms of speed, we don't know specifically, but we can assume probably something 2.8, 3.5 in that range. So if you've watched this channel for very long, you know I'm a sucker for a good sharp prime lens. So great news, really, really good news. Pentax has also talked a little bit about how we're going to control this camera, and what they've stated their intent is that the camera is going to be a hybrid of sorts. It's going to offer both automatic functionality and manual function modes. And that's going to allow the camera to be easily accessible for beginners, but offer more creative control for more experienced photographers. And according to Pentax's own confirmations, they've confirmed that the camera will have automatic aperture and shutter speed controls, which will allow users to operate the camera more as a point and shoot. But they've also referenced the ability to manually change some settings, potentially via dial control. And if you look at some of their adverts for the camera, you can actually see a functioning dial, which looks like it's been newly designed for the camera. Pentax hasn't elaborated further on what shooting modes might be included on the dial, but it suggests the film camera would offer room for manual creativity, just like we said a second ago. The thing that's made the most headlines, and they just released an advert that went through almost like an ASMR video, where you could hear the sound of the manual winding mechanism, all the clicking and mechanical noises. And that's one of the headline features of the camera, and it's that manual hand-wound film advance mechanism. That mechanism takes us all the way back to the dawn of SLR photography. It's a hallmark of a lot of people's experience shooting film. It's something we all remember very fondly. It's such a good feeling racking that advance lever and going on to the next frame. It's super satisfying. And that's going to help Pentax fulfill their promise of offering a real film photography shooting experience. And one of the most important things that we're going to talk about the new Pentax camera is the format. And this is where the video is going to get a little bit interesting. And it's because the camera is not going to be default shooting in landscape mode. The camera is going to be shooting primarily in portrait mode. And you can see that on this recent video that they put out about the camera. And there's a couple reasons behind that. Number one, it's going to be a half-frame camera. And let's talk about that for a second. A half-frame camera basically takes a 35mm frame, splits it into two, so you can stretch a roll of film a little longer. You're going to probably lose a little image quality because your frame size is ultimately smaller, but with the price of film being what it is these days, I'm sure a lot of folks will happily take that trade-off. And for folks who are just going out using this more as a point-and-shoot style camera, or maybe in lieu of Instax or something like that, I think folks are going to be pretty happy with the quality that they get out of half-frame cameras. They're not the first to do a premium half-frame camera. I'm thinking about a lot of the Olympus Pen models. Wonderful images come out of those cameras. So that doesn't automatically condemn the image quality. But there's another benefit of that as well. And let's think back to the start where we talked about the camera being designed primarily for young shooters. Well, most young folks out there are using cell phones, smartphones. We're used to using our phones like we scroll Instagram and TikTok in portrait mode, not landscape mode. So the fact that the default shooting position of this camera is in portrait mode is very intentional. It's because most of the images that are going to come out of the new Pentax camera are already going to be in portrait mode primarily. So they're going to easily translate to Instagram posts, TikTok posts. It's very much being marketed as a camera for young people. And also talking a little bit about the dimensions of that format, a single 35mm frame is 36 by 24 millimeters, and the half frame, like we said, doubles the number of pictures per roll of film, capturing 17 by 24 millimeter frames. And here's what that means for those of us who are out there wondering how many shots we're going to get on this camera. If you're shooting a 24 exposure roll, you're going to get 48 shots, and if you're using a 36 exposure roll, you're going to get 72. So that's quite a bit of shooting. You're really committed to that roll of film that you stick in the back of the camera, so you better lock it. I know a lot of times I go out with Cinestill 800T, some sort of tungsten balanced weird film stock, and then I'm committed to that roll for 36 exposures, and sometimes that's tough to get through. 72 shots, you're really committed. So, and another thing is the focusing. I think the focus on this camera is going to be pretty interesting. Pentax has indicated that the camera will use a zone focusing mechanism. So you're going to have to be able to gauge how far your subject is away from you and then set the focusing based on that. Focusing system that I've used before, it's not necessarily my favorite, but it's also not that hard to master either. So that's probably what we're getting here, a zone focusing system on the new Pentax camera. And the other thing is price. We haven't seen a lot from this camera in terms of what it's going to look like. Maybe if we had an image, we could start to think about how premium the build quality is and what they're going to charge for this thing. I would personally love to see the camera cost $200 or $300. I also am fully aware that that's probably a pipe dream. This is going to be a camera that they're probably not going to sell a ton of. I could be wrong, but $200 or $300 would be great. I think more realistically, somewhere in the $500, $600, $700 range for a premium point and shoot, I think that's what we're going to be looking at paying. Not the end of the world. I am going to buy one of these cameras, but I know at that price point, this is very much going to be a luxury item for a lot of folks. You're going to have to really want to own one of these. But I'm really, really excited to see more about it. And so putting it all together, everything we know about the new Pentax camera, the camera is going to be a half frame camera. It's going to be a premium compact camera. It's going to be primarily a point and shoot, but it's going to offer some manual controls as well. When shooting the camera normally, you're going to be shooting your images in portrait mode instead of landscape mode. Kind of an interesting thing there. The camera is also going to be a relatively premium build quality, at least some reports have indicated. So let me know in the comments, are you looking forward to the new Pentax 17 or whatever they decide to call this new premium point and shoot camera? Or is it going to be something that you're going to pass up? At least for my part, I think I'm going to get one. So super excited to get it. A full review will follow on the channel just as soon as I can get my hands on one. But if you thought this video was cool and you can't be bothered to wait for the new Pentax camera, I made this video about 50 film cameras under $50 that you can actually go out and buy right now. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.